Buon pomeriggio, benvenuti al Funky Junk Studio di Milano per questo nuovo workshop che abbiamo organizzato sulle tecnologie del futuro del broadcast. In questo pomeriggio parleremo di audience engagement e sviluppo delle vendite. Abbiamo qui Mary Ann Seidler di Futuri Media che ci parlerà di queste nuove tecnologie e cosa ci propone questa azienda sul futuro del broadcast. Ho il piacere di presentarvi Mary Ann Seidler. Please, Mary Ann, thank you. Welcome to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Please, let's understand what you can show you.
Okay, buongiorno. So, out of curiosity, what radio groups are people from, or what are your jobs? Are they technical or programming?
I'm studying computer engineering, yeah.
Okay.
Consulting and technique.
So, Futuri Media is a company that's about 10 years old, and we're going to play a video in a few minutes that's from the CEO of the company and our senior vice president in charge of sales, who happens to be from Italy originally. Futuri Media is based in Cleveland, Ohio, which is odd because there's another company based in Cleveland, Ohio, too, that does broadcasting. We don't know how there's so many companies in one town that have this. But our whole premise is to create tools so that broadcasters can have their listeners be more interactive. And also, frankly, so you can find out who is listening to the station, what they're listening to, and what they like. I mean, a long time ago, when radio was very young, we used to have call-in shows, or people would call and request songs. And that was maybe how we knew that a song was popular. But stations don't do that anymore, and listeners don't call in. So how do you have that interaction? How do we not lose our beautiful audience to Spotify? There's one way we do it. We're local, and we're engaging. Spotify can never engage with listeners like radio can, but we have to use the tools that are available to us now. So that is what Futuri Media is all about. So first we'll play a little 26-minute video that is from Sophie and Daniel, and he'll explain a bit about the company. He started it 10 years ago. He actually got his start in radio when he was 14. He started an internet radio station in Cleveland, Ohio. I think he built his first FM station when he was 11, unbeknownst to his parents, who didn't realize he had a transmitter in the basement until the local authorities came and said, "Are you aware you're broadcasting from this house?" So, like all of us, he has a long passion for radio. So let's play the video now, and then we'll talk a bit afterwards. I'll show you exactly what some of the products can do, and we'll also look at the analytics. So let's play the video.
Rimarrete colpiti dalla nostra tecnologia che abbiamo sviluppato per aiutare stazioni radio e far crescere il pubblico radiofonico e distribuire i loro contenuti a multipli piattaforme. Il mio collega e fondatore di Futuri Media, Daniel Anstandig, vi darà un'introduzione alla nostra tecnologia brevettata e i nostri partner a Funky Junk e la nostra collega Mary Ann Seidler sono disposti a rispondere alle vostre
And today, we hope that as you see our systems, you can see a bridge into the future. That's why we called the company Futuri, because we believe that together we can create an exceptional future for this industry and for each other. Post integrates into your automation system so we can ingest all of the audio that you're running on the air, and we can automatically parse all of that audio into individual segments. Since we tie into the automation system through our system called Echo, where we collect metadata that's running live on the air, synchronized with your audio, we can create automatic trimming points where your audio is separated from the time a song ends to the time a talk break starts, or from the time a talk break starts to the time a spot or commercial begins. That makes it very easy to take individual segments that ran on the air and instantly turn them into podcasts. And when you use Post to create your podcasts, you can create the audio one time and hit a publish button that will send that audio out to multiple endpoints: Facebook, Twitter, your station website, mobile app, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. Post is a system that combines your live broadcast audio and your podcast audio all in one system, so you can create time-shifted audio based on your broadcast, or you can manage podcasts all in one place. I'll start by walking you through how Post works in this brief introduction. When you first log into Post, you can see all of the different shows that you've created in this screen. Open a show, enter a name and description for that show, and as you can see on this screen, you can view any episodes that you have already created and published, or that you've scheduled to publish at a later date and time, or that were once published and now unpublished, or that are set up as a draft, something that you started to create but did not publish yet. Let's say that I wanted to create a new episode. This is an episode for a podcast or time-shifted audio. You could upload audio or build an audio file by using combined broadcast audio and uploaded audio. Now in this screen, I'm selecting a date and time from my audio logger, where I'll be able to see all of the audio that ran on the air during this time period. Down below, I can filter the audio that ran on the air based on music, talk breaks, imaging, or spots. Now that's because Post is integrated into the audio chain and we can see what's playing on the air and record the type. Now I'm creating a podcast in the audio builder by using a mix of broadcast audio. I've inserted ads here, and you can see that now I have a 46-minute track that I can download, or I can save it and continue to create my podcast. Let's say that I uploaded audio that I'd like to create or that I would like to integrate into this podcast also. I can drag it from the left into the audio builder. It shows me that now I have a 47-minute track. I save it, and I'm ready to continue building out my next episode for this show. What I've just created is an episode that can go out to iTunes or to a podcast using my broadcast audio and uploaded audio combined. I can preview the audio here, and then when I'm ready, I'll hit Next Step, enter in a title for this episode, a description for the episode, and tags. We found that stations that use more than 4 tags in each episode have a far higher rate of plays. That means that they get a lot more audience to hit the play button for that episode. Now I can upload an image that will go out to my Apple Podcast site, or I can select an image or licensed image for my social shares. So let's say that I wanted to share this episode also on Facebook, Twitter, my station website, etc. I can select an image here, and then when I hit Next Step, I can select from multiple channels, and I can send this episode out all at the same time to Facebook, Twitter, my station website, iTunes, any RSS feed, and to my station mobile app, or any other endpoint I configure inside Post. So I create the audio once and I publish it to many endpoints all at one time, saving a tremendous amount of time. I can also use Post as a logger. So if I want to do air checks and find audio from a specific time of day, I can do that easily here. And again, I can segment or filter my audio based on the type of audio, whether it's music or talk or imaging or spots here, commercials. And then I can also, in this system, request a transcription of the audio. So if I hit this transcribe button, then I'll see in just a few moments, it does not take very long, I'll see a transcription of that audio in text that I can then copy and send to somebody on my team or use that to start a blog or social post. It makes the use of the audio very convenient in other formats. We have extensive analytics available in Post, from downloads to the types of platforms or systems, devices that people use to listen to your podcast. And it's very easy to configure at the station level so that you can always create new usernames, or you can also set a lineup plan so that whenever you use audio from your show or from your station to create a podcast, the metadata can be pre-populated based on the show that was on the air during that time. You can also configure many different endpoints that ultimately will be the endpoint or publishing point for the audio. Now I'd like to introduce you to LDR, Listener Driven Radio. We built Listener Driven Radio, or LDR, to create an interactive experience with the audience where they could become a part of what's happening on the air. Our idea was that today audiences are interactive. They want to be a part of the music. They care about what's happening live on the station. And the more that they interact with you, the more they come back, the more they tell their friends to listen, the more they feel like they are a part of your programming. One of the key features of LDR is what we call interactive voting sessions, where the audience can choose which song will play next on the air. Now you can see a number of different voting session possibilities on the screen in front of you. These are different types of voting sessions. For instance, this one, the audience can use to choose which song will play out of these three next. This song battle shows two songs that are against each other. The audience is voting, and there are many different ways, by the way, that you can do a song battle. We call them stylized voting sessions. You can see some of the examples here. We've had stations use these for special weekend programming or for special features on their breakfast show, or perhaps even just an evening feature. Takeover is where the audience is controlling every song that plays, one after another, through an entire hour or day part. Countdown is a live countdown show. And Top Song is a version of a voting session that's used frequently for radio stations that want the audience to choose the number one song of the hour. So if you're playing a lot of current music or new music, using Top Song is a great way to spotlight and create attention and a feature around new music and let the audience choose the best new song that plays automatically at the top of the hour. Now, you may be wondering how we automatically play these songs on the air. In fact, we have tied into automation systems around the world. These are some of the automation systems that we integrate directly with, where we're able to see which songs are scheduled in the log, and we work with a station to set up break notes where they, in their music scheduler, they can control the voting sessions that will play on the air. And then we integrate into the automation system so we can cause the automation system to automatically play the correct winning song at the right time in the hour. Another feature within LDR that's quite popular is song alerts. With a song alert, listeners can view your playlist and they can sign up for an alert whenever one of their favorite songs is going to play on the air. So as an example here, I've selected this song and I can get a text, email, or tweet that will arrive just moments before this song is about to play on your station. We're also in the process of integrating WhatsApp with song alerts, and we've seen that listeners who sign up for song alerts become huge fans. It gives them on-demand gratification, and the notifications that go out to stations just moments before the song airs cause them to turn on the station and listen more frequently. We also provide analytics and information so that if you chose to create a sponsorship around the feature, that would be very easy for you to do at the station level. Now, many of our partner stations use Engage together with LDR to automatically market their station on social media and create social posts that coordinate perfectly in time with their playlist or with their automation system. Engage similarly ties into your automation system so we can see what's playing and what's about to play on the air. And then within Engage, there are a number of different features that are available to you. The first is social triggers. This is a post that can go out automatically on Facebook or Twitter, coordinated in with your content on the air. So as an example, if you wanted to send out a tweet like this every time this certain artist is about to play on your station, you could automatically send out a tweet using Engage so that your audience will see this promotion just before that song plays on the air. It's a perfect way to promote concerts or to promote events that involve artists. You can also set up different templates so that the post is different each time it goes out. This is an example of a tweet and a Facebook post that were sent out using social triggers within Engage. It's great for contesting. It ties into in-studio appearances. So let's say that you were interviewing an artist on the air and you wanted to promote that artist's interview or the video of the interview on your website every time that artist is about to play on your station. You could use social triggers to drive traffic to that specific interview just before that song plays on the air. Engage Studio makes it possible for you to record and schedule video that will later play on Facebook Live. We've seen an incredible amount of interaction on Facebook Live over this last year. Today, Facebook itself has over 8 billion video views every day. And we're seeing that stations using Facebook Live attract a significant amount of audience to their Facebook feeds during the day across many different formats. Now, we all believe that mobile is such an important part of our future in the media and radio industry. And we think that radio stations that only have a play button in their app are missing out on a major opportunity to create an interactive experience that really brings the radio station to life for a local listener. So we've created 3 different types of mobile apps that have many different configurations and features that can be turned on or off to be customized for your station. We have an activity feed app that pulls in all of your social feeds from Facebook, Twitter, any RSS feeds from your website, and your Now Playing information all into one screen, integrated with a great Now Playing experience, the ability for listeners to vote on which songs they want to hear more or less of, ability to sign up for alerts when their favorite song is going to play, and even to see more information about the artist that's currently playing on the air. We also have a Pure Player app. This is an app that is perfect for a station that's very music intensive, where you want to create a second screen for your music station. This shows the song that's currently playing on the air, the artists that are about to play soon, and you can vote on songs or use Open Mic, which we'll explain in just a moment. The third type of app is great for radio stations or even TV stations that have a very content or information-heavy programming approach. So if they're very big on traffic and weather and news and information, this app is great because it showcases your content as a station. Now, there are many different features, in fact, over 50 that we've created that can be turned on or off in any one of these apps. But I'll spotlight here for you some of the most popular features. First, Open Mic. Open Mic is a feature where listeners can record their voice in high quality. Then the audio goes from the phone direct to the studio into an admin screen where you can see in the studio the audio that was recorded by the listener, and you can send an email, text, or tweet back to that listener before you play their audio on the air. We also build push notifications into all of our apps so that it's very easy for you to send an alert to listeners anytime there's news or weather or perhaps a major audience alert or content alert that you would like to send to your audience right now. One of our most popular features is one that we call flash contesting. Stations that do contests where a 10th caller or a 15th caller wins a contest are missing major opportunities to engage their audience. Here's how a flash contest works instead of a call-in contest. First, a push alert goes out saying that someone who opens the app in the next 10 minutes will win tickets to a show, just as an example. When you open the app, you automatically start streaming or listening to the station. So now we've caused the audience to tune in and start listening. They can click here to enter to win. They enter some basic information, first name, last name, perhaps their mobile number and email address. And then in the studio, you'll see a control room admin screen where you can see all of the names and email addresses and locations, because we can see the location of each user through their mobile device, of all of the people who are participating in a flash contest. So now you get hundreds of people participating in a contest. You're able to collect lots of information here about the audience, and you engage listeners in tuning in on their mobile device instead of only talking to people who are already listening. And in the case of a 10th caller contest, unfortunately, hanging up on 9 callers only to award one person, where you collect information from one person instead of many people through a contest like this. In 2015, Futuri acquired a streaming company called StreamOn, based in Canada, that was already working with hundreds of broadcasters around the world to stream their live audio. Now, we've invested millions of dollars in enhancing the streaming infrastructure since we acquired that company, because we believe that IP distribution, internet distribution of broadcast audio is absolutely our future in this business. Our question for radio stations is your station stream as easy to use as Pandora and Spotify? We know that it has to be to keep up with the technology that users are used to today. So we use HLS technology from Apple, which optimizes a stream for mobile devices and lower bandwidth connections. It makes it easier to listen on mobile. Also, we have media source extensions technology that is flashless. It uses the same type of streaming technology that listeners experience in Netflix or YouTube. Our streaming service starts with an ultra-reliable, broadcast-ready streaming transmitter. This is hardware that's solid state. There's no fan in the hardware, which is, as you may know, the first thing to go anytime you're working with dedicated hardware or a computer. This is a rack mount box that takes your audio stream or your audio content and streams it in HLS back to the cloud to Futuri's global CDN network. Most importantly, we provide information on who is using your stream and real-time analytics so you can understand how your audience is engaging with your content. We have 3 options that make it possible for you to sell ad insertion on your stream. The first is our 100% Futuri ad network. This is where we sell all of your pre-roll and mid-roll inventory for you, and we pay you at the station based on how much inventory we were able to sell at the end of each quarter. Managed ad ops is where we sell inventory for you, and you can also insert your own advertising through basic ad insertion orders, which always have the first priority over our ad network. Third, we have a self-serve ad ops option where you get your own login for the ad server and you manage all of your own inventory. All of our ad insertion is managed by AdSwiz. We've tied directly into AdSwiz for a number of years, and we have seamless integration. We also provide a streaming player that can be customized in its design for the station, and it has display advertising inventory available as well. Our streaming service is built to provide the very best technology to help you break through firewalls and increase your audience using HLS. We provide 24/7 support and proactive monitoring. We have a tremendous, exceptional uptime record, 99.999% uptime since 2016. We provide the world's only intelligent streaming transmitter. It's hardware that ties directly into the automation system and ties into your audio chain to provide for the best experience for your audience. And it's technology in use by billion-dollar brands. We treat your stream the same way you treat your broadcast audio. We think of the stream being on the air as most critical to reaching your audience, the same way you would care about having your transmitter on the air.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to introduce you to Futuri Media. Obviously, a half an hour doesn't give us enough time to give you all of the information we would love to share with you. We hope that we get the opportunity to spend more time with you, understand a little bit more about what you're looking for and what your needs are. If you have any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to Mary Ann Seidler or our friends at Funky Jump. Once again, we welcome the opportunity to work with you in the future. Thank you very much, and arrivederci.
Grazie, amici.
Okay. I like when she giggles at the end. So I hope that was helpful in kind of getting an idea of all the different technologies we work with. I thought what we would do now is we'll log on to Post, which was how to create content from your live stream, or your FM station. And so just give me a second here. And okay. So there are two different versions of Post that you saw. The one that you saw Daniel using is our new version. And that's good for creating content for longer form podcasts. But we also have another version that I'm showing you here, that this is actually your, akte meine Güte. That is, let's go back. I don't know why it did that. Okay, so we'll select that. So what you see here is actually what's streaming on the air right now. So this can be your FM signal itself. And what's handy about this is you can select any of this. So you color code the content beforehand. So we pick categories and all of the content is color coded to, let's say, news is all in red. Something happened several months ago in Italy that is definitely going to be a game changer. It has already been a game changer in the US, Canada, and Australia, and Germany, and that is smart speakers. Because suddenly it makes it really easy for people in their homes to listen to content whenever they want to listen to content. So if you think about smart TVs, Netflix really started taking off when it became super easy for people to select Netflix on their television. And the same thing is happening with these smart speakers. They just were introduced in Italy officially, I think in October 2018. So now let's say you're a radio station and you have a great morning show, or you have some funny content, or you have the news. Your listeners are going to be able to say, I want to listen to FM 99's news. And on their smart speaker, that's exactly what they will get. So what Daniel was talking about is Generation Z is looking, they don't care how they get the content, they just want audio content. So it's in our best interest not just to have one FM radio show and one stream and then poof, all our magic is gone. Now we have the ability to repurpose it and to give people the ability to listen to the content whenever they want to. So let's say with this, we're going to take our news and we'll take a spot and let's create some on-demand content. I don't think of this as being a podcast because we're just going to make a newscast available for people whenever they want it. So I pull this down there. Let's put a spot with it. So now we have merged it. I can make any edits on it that I want, and it's just a simple editor. So I could mark that, cut that, and create content just out of that. I then can go down here and place targeted ads. And this is something sales departments love because now all of a sudden they have something additional they can sell. It's good for stations because they don't have to play just ad after ad on the radio station. There are different ways that they can sell content. So I've selected a targeted ad for this news content. Now, most importantly, is I can pick a licensed image. And if you followed what happened, I think it was 2 days ago, the European Union voted to have very strict copyright laws. So now if your station, and it's been this way for a while in the U.S. It also has many, many lawyers who are looking to sue people. So for any infringement. But let's say we're going to have a story about Lady Gaga. So this is not Lady Gaga. I can't figure out why it's done this. Yeah, the completely different type of person. Okay. So let's take this. Now we do have a picture. So we can post this to a show. So now you're never going to have to worry about content as far as copyright protection. You can post this. Anyone from your station can post any of our images. And we have hundreds of thousands that we license through the Getty library. And you never have to worry that someone is going to be violating copyright law. So we've now saved this project. And now I can post it anywhere I want. You could have different shows that you're posting it to. So you could have a morning show, anything like that. And what's good about this is a lot of stations are posting. I met a station yesterday that's posting content just to post. And I said, well, how many people are looking at your content? Well, 3 or 4. This is one of the top rated stations in a huge market. And they're not interacting with their audience on social media. This allows you to always be putting something interesting that your listeners care about. And the most important thing is that you post the content within 30 minutes of actually broadcasting it. So let's say something happens, let's say something crazy happens at the station. You can immediately then post it. There's a station close to where I live. They have this crazy show on, I think once a week, called Men from Maine. It's just a silly comedy bit they do. But this would give them the ability immediately after they broadcast that to then post it. And people would be looking for that content. So this makes us a lot more flexible with what people are actually doing. Let's go to the all new post because I want to show you the analytics on that. And this is a bit slow because we're dialing into, we're using a Wi-Fi connection to call back to the U.S. It would not be this slow at your station. Okay, so now I can see the different shows that I have here. And that's interesting. But advertisers really don't care about how many downloads you have. What's happening with podcasts is exactly what happened with Facebook. Once upon a time, when stations started getting Facebook sites, or any businesses did, if you had someone hired out to do your Facebook page, a lot of times they would just hire a click farm to have 50,000 people liking your Facebook page. And we did this at another company I worked at, and I was like, how in the world can 50,000 people have liked this Facebook page this quickly? It's impossible. It was a small business. So advertisers are onto that. So they're not going to care how many people have downloaded the podcast. They care about who's listened to it and how long they've listened to it. This also gives you the ability to figure out, well, do people like what we're producing? So this shows you the percentage. It also shows you the amount of unique users and exactly how much time they've spent listening to it. Have they listened to the whole thing or just part of it? So this gives you a very good idea. This is information as broadcasters. Think about it. 10 years ago, we would have dreamed of information like this, that we could actually figure out how long people are listening to radio stations without doing surveys that may or may not be accurate. This gives you something in a lot more granular form. It also, and some shows do care about this, it will show you what countries are listening to your show, if you're producing something international, and very, very helpful is what platforms they're listening to. So you can figure out exactly how people are listening. When I was talking to a station a few days ago, they said, well, does any of this work? Will any of the audio work on our website? Because you keep showing mobile apps. And I said, yeah, actually, of course, everything works on your website, but so many more people now are looking at a mobile device instead of going to a computer. And how do you listen to radio? You're probably not going to your computer and listening to it. That was when streaming first started. You're probably listening to it on a mobile device or smart speakers. So that's why it becomes increasingly important that you have information like this available, because you can see exactly what your audience is. You can also find out who they are, if they're male or female, and the demographics. So we do that together with a third party, so we can get very granular information from them. So I would really, if you're not doing a lot of on-demand content now, it's super easy to do. It extends your brand, and it gives you more content to go after Generation Z, because that's what they're looking for. Do you have questions?
What means LTR?
That's a total time spent listening. So we'll go from this, and I want to talk about, we'll talk about just our voice possibilities. And this, if you don't have it with your stations yet, it's something that's very important to get, and that's smart speaker skills. So this is at the very beginning. First of all, we will do the smart speaker skills for you, but it's important that you get them going now, because you don't want someone else to take that skill from you. But secondly, you've got to make it easy for your listeners to find you, because otherwise what was happening to some stations is they were listening, but they were listening on TuneIn. Well, that doesn't give you any of the analytics that you want. And actually, with all of our products, it's the analytics that people are really interested in. So there are 3 types of voice activation skills. There's streaming, which is just play this stream flash briefing, whether you want news or something like that, and then the decision tree. And just to give you an idea of this is now 34% of households in the U.S. have smart speakers. It's just crazy. And it's funny because every Christmas it just takes off more and more. And people do not just have one set of smart speakers in their house. They have 3 or 4 pairs of smart speakers. They are also coming to a car near you as well. So that will be the next thing that happens. So imagine how much voice-activated technology there will be. That's why it's important to start working on this now, because you want to be the brand that everyone knows with this. You don't want to be stuck back in the 1990s. So figure out, and we can help you with this, how you're going to use the skills and how you promote it to the audience. One thing that we were talking about is a fair number of people who work with Futuri are actually program directors from radio stations and from the different types, whether it's news talk or CHR. So we can help you a lot with telling you this is really how it's best to market it. You want to make sure, though, think about it, that you keep that audience. You don't want someone asking for the weather and they're going someplace other than your radio station. They always listen to the weather on your station, so let's make it easy for them to continue to get the weather on your station. Or you can do contest queues and things like that. So smart speakers will give us, we're at the very beginning of this technology. It is going to give us the ability to be much more interactive with our audience in a way that we really hadn't dreamed of before. And any of these slides I'm happy to give you and give you advice on that. So what we do as far as if we set up skills for you, we talk to you about what we're going to do, what you want, and then we'll set the skill up. But then we make sure that we stay in touch with you, and Funky Junk does, to see that you're getting the skills that you want and you're actually having people use them. Because it's important now to start getting people using the skills. So we're going to talk about product analytics now. And that, of all of our products, is probably the most important part. Is everyone okay? Do you want to take a break? Okay. All right. Perfect. So, probably the most powerful thing with all of our products is, yes, you're getting people interested and you're getting listeners engaged. This is driving me insane. But the most important thing is you're finding out who your audience is and how long they're listening and where they're listening from. So this is something as broadcasters we never had before. So what measuring system do you use here for audience measurement? You know? So how do they measure the size of a radio audience? Well, okay. I don't know if Italy has the same problem as Canada and the US, but it's gotten to the point, I'm not kidding, 50% of the phone calls I get on my cell phone now are spam, and I don't answer them. So I've stopped answering my cell phone unless I recognize the number. And if it's someone who wants to get a hold of me, they leave a message and I call back. So this is going to make it, if it hasn't already, it will make it even harder for these surveys to be correct. So how do you know how well you're really doing? I mean, the whole idea of calling people has become very old-fashioned very quickly, thanks to spam calls. So what information can you get from using our products? First of all, with LDR. So this was actually how the company started, with listener-driven radio. And the whole idea behind it was, if a radio station is doing voice tracking, which they do sometimes in the evening or other times, you still need to sound as though you're there for your audience, because otherwise, how much different are you than Spotify if they don't seem to be engaged? And that's the huge magic of radio, is we do seem to be engaged with the audience. But by using listener-driven radio, number one, you can find out a lot of information. So, for example, you can find out when someone clicks on a website or your mobile app. You can find out how many times a listener engaged with you. So if you've got loyal listeners, with song alerts, the listener signs up for a song alert. And I have some apps that I'll show you later that we've done. By the third time of the person signing up for a song alert, we ask them, could you please tell us any information you want to know from them that's legal, whether they're male, female, their age demographic, things like that. And we do adhere to all privacy laws. So now you've suddenly found out, oh my gosh, so if all of these people are signing up for song alerts and it's all women and they're all signing up for this at 9 a.m., maybe my demographic is changing at 9 a.m. Maybe it's a different type of audience. Song engagements. So this is helpful because stations pay a tremendous amount of money for music research. But we can also help out with that by having song likes, because you can now ask your listeners, well, do you like that song? Without them calling into the station, because how many people will actually call in? So with any of this, I can decide from these songs, let's say I like this one. So this is one of our stations in Ireland. So I just vote, I just told them to play that less. I can vote whether I want them to play a song more or less. Maybe I want to share it with other people. And all of this the station is seeing. So now all of a sudden they're finding out, okay, so everyone does really like that Ariana Grande song. Maybe we should play it more often. That's extremely helpful because you're getting information that you never had before. And also your demographics. So we can actually find out, where people are in the audience. So what towns they're listening from. And if we look at the user view, so this is what I was talking about. This can either be on your mobile app or it can be on your website. So they sign up for song alerts. What should we play? Discussion topics and recently played. So what should we play? We have stations that they use a feature called Takeover. So let's say every noon you have the listeners take over the station for an hour. And guess what? It keeps them really involved. And it also gives you the ability to have what we call second screen time with the listener. And the second screen time is when your listener is doing anything else. Maybe they're watching a video, but they've got their screen there and they're playing around with it and they're engaging with you. They may not be listening to your station, but they may be voting for things on the station, or they may be seeing what's going on. And especially with what song should we play, if it's interactive, they can sit there and see if their friends have voted for something. So, of course, that keeps them involved because then they'll re-vote. Discussion topics. It doesn't just have to be music stations that use this. For example, if you have a news talk program that you want people to vote on a certain topic, or maybe there's an election coming up and you want to see how people are voting in that. This is a good way to engage those listeners as well. Or let's say you have a sports program that you want to know what you should talk about next. So you can come up with any varieties of ways that you engage your listeners, that they can actually still engage with the station without not with necessarily not listening to the station. The song alerts from the user point of view, they just sign up for it like this. And with all our products, we have something called control room. So this is behind the scenes where you're actually figuring out, okay, how many people are using our different devices, how long are they using it, and any of the information you want. You can then take this to change programming. You could take it and give it to advertisers, anything like that. And of course, if you work at a commercial station, the sales department always dreams of things like this, because now they can truly go out and say, yes, we have this program that we know the majority of our audience are women between the ages of 18 and 35. So don't you want to sell this product to women between the ages of 18 and 35? And you can also find out about specific dates. So again, this is information that we've never had as radio broadcasters before, that we can now have. And you're getting this information at the same time as you're pulling in listeners. And these are just some of the things that you could actually see. Song engagement, the song alerts, and the sessions. So this is great for example, the sales department to be able to go out and say, look, this is how many people actually listen to this. So, and this is how many people we had sign up for it. It's also really helpful with music because you can figure out what songs people at the station really like to listen to. We have one station, and normally you just do the voting. You offer it once in a while or once a day or maybe once a week. We have a station that actually allows their listeners, the station only plays what the listeners want. I mean, the listeners literally control the station, which I have to say, I keep trying to figure out, well, how do they ever play any new music then? Because how would the listeners ever allow that? And I think it is like a 1980s, 90s format, so I guess they don't worry about that. But that's you probably want some control over that. And this is even how granular we can get. We can find out their age. In certain cases, just statistically speaking, whether they have children or not, what their household income is, and even what their level of education is. So, and in the U.S. and Canada, they care about ethnicity, I guess. So, one sales sheet. So this, again, is something that your sales department will love. So an engaged social. Again, now you're finding out, we've sent all these people. We've all created Facebook pages for radio stations, right? And all we're doing is sending our listeners over to a Facebook page, and we're giving Facebook all our money because they're selling ads to our listeners? How disrespectful. So we need ways to pull those listeners back to our mobile apps and our website. We can tease them a little bit and get them interested in something on Facebook, but then let's pull them back to where we need them and where we can offer our own ads to them. So with this, you can do social triggers. So let's just say for a radio station, you want a listener to listen to something for a particular contest. So you just put one little thing on Facebook and then have them listen to the station or use the mobile app. This is also recording videos. So maybe you do something where you're recording it. Maybe there's a concert tomorrow. So you can record a video that you don't post until tomorrow. So it always looks as though the DJ or someone from the station is engaged and on it. And maybe they actually recorded that video days ahead of time. But it gives them the feeling that the station is out among the people. So, and with the videos, you can see exactly who has how many people have looked at the videos and if they've shared them. But again, maybe you only post 30 seconds of the video on Facebook or 15 seconds, and then the rest you pull back over to your website. So it's a good way to get that Facebook or Instagram audience, but pull them back to your side. Now, the mobile app is the last one. So mobile apps are, I'm just going to pull this up all at once now. Mobile apps are more important than ever. We have to start thinking of mobile apps as, in a way, our transmitter, our website, it's everything all together. So when I was here the last time, Fiore asked me, hey, does this work with Apple CarPlay? And in fact, the new version of our app does work with Apple CarPlay. So any new app, which guess what that means? With newer cars, you have a screen. And at least in Canada and the US, so I have a Subaru because I live in a cold place. So I look at my screen and it has Pandora on it and XM. And I'm thinking, and now to get to my radio station, it says AM, FM radio. So, no, first it says music. So then I first have to hit music. Then it says AM, FM radio. Then I have to hit that. And then all it does is list every single station. There's no logo, there's nothing. So I have to toggle through all of these to find the stations I like. And if I'm going to a different city, I have to toggle through all of them. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to be driving, not messing around like that. I'm driving into a ditch while I'm looking at all of this. Guess what that means? That means your listeners, you're making it impossible for them to find you. So by having an app that supports Apple CarPlay, that logo can show up on that screen. So, for example, with iRadio, they'll see the iRadio logo and hit it immediately. First of all, it really enforces that radio station's brand, but now it's right next to the Pandora or Spotify app. So you're back where you belong, front and center on a car dial. So, and that's, we hadn't thought about how important that was, or I hadn't, until Fiore mentioned it, and he said, yeah, this is, this makes all the difference in the world. So now with these apps, number one, yes, you can listen to music, but there are also other things you can do. This is your information source for a lot of things. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have a good station app. It shouldn't just be for listening. Yeah, it's great if you just have a play, but if you're doing that, then you're missing out on the ability to have people vote on things. You're losing out on the ability to have all sorts of artwork on it. So what about the album art? That's how it reinforces to people. So we'll look at this in a couple of moments, but just some of the ways that you engage with people and information you can get from these. Number one, you can find out how many times that mobile app was downloaded. So, God, are people not downloading the app? Why aren't they? So, and find out what's going on with that. If they're actually tuning into it, if they're using it for different things other than just listening to the radio. Because I was in a bus yesterday, and every single person on the bus, which was a 5-minute bus ride, they're all staring at their devices. So you want to get that screen time when they're doing something and not necessarily listening to the radio. Open mic, I'll show you a few fun things it does with that. But then you can find out information about who's actually calling into the station. And what Daniel was talking about earlier, we used to do these contests at the radio station that it was, oh my God, we would do like 100th caller to the station. Which was really painful. But we only found out information about one person. So we never knew about the other 99 people. Maybe the disc jockey knew whether it was mostly male or females, but he or she never told anyone. So it's all that information and data that we could certainly use. This will give you that ability to have any of that information. And again, the demographics as to who's downloading your app and where they're listening from. And you have all the ability with this as well to have the demographics and information all on one sheet. And here you can see some of the other information on it. So most importantly of all is it's important to make sure with this, I know I was saying earlier that downloads don't matter, but with the mobile app, it really is important that you get as many people, that you have a good app, that you look at it and say, yeah, am I using this? Are people in my target audience, are they using this app? You know, how easy is it to use, and is it fun to use? So, and I realize for some people, I can give you a list of the stations to look at, but we'll take a look here to see some of the different apps. So if we look at this app, this is an example of some things we've done. So we have Vote for Songs, Alert Me, which is song alerts. I couldn't figure out, somebody asked me, I think the last time, well, wait a minute, why would someone sign up for a song alert when they could just go to Spotify or Pandora? And that's a very good question. So I asked around, and they said, yeah, actually they still use song alerts a lot. Because what if you're saying, we're going to play the new Lady Gaga song? Then you will sign up for that. Or sign up to listen to the new Lady Gaga song, and you can win tickets. So it's something that pulls them back in. The alarm clock. So I thought, why would people want a radio station alarm clock? But you can really reinforce your brand with this, because what the alarm clock does is wake you up whenever you set it for, but then it's a message from the station saying, hey, you know, it's disc jockey XYZ, wake up, come on, time to get out of bed. So it's something very personal to the station. And then so that's something, yeah, if I loved a certain station, I'd definitely sign up for that. And you can also see the schedule. And these guys have something where they're unlocking rewards. So we were talking earlier about open mic, and Daniel was explaining how it gets used. And I'll show you this one station who I think has the best use of open mic I've seen in quite a while. First of all, notice they have a sponsor for it. This is 95.5 in Portland, Oregon. But they have what's weird in the streets. So, okay, that's very typically Portland. So all you do is hit this and tell the station the craziest thing you've seen in the streets of Portland, Oregon recently. And then they play these on the air. But they'll send you a text back before they play it. So they're engaging you. But this is something, yeah, even in your car, if you have your car app up, if you see something crazy in the streets, this is the easiest way in the world for listeners to call into a station and just say, yeah, I saw something crazy on the street. So it's the only thing that's limiting it is your imagination and the ability to come up with quirky reasons for your listeners to call in. When I was in Spain yesterday, they were saying, well, we use WhatsApp for that. And okay, that makes sense. But WhatsApp can't do something like this. And you also can't sponsor an ad on WhatsApp. So, and it's got to be something, you know, kind of a quirky reason for the station, for you to call the station. And you can change these anytime you want. So these guys have kept this as this for a while, but what if you wanted people to call the station to wish, you know, your mother a happy Mother's Day? Anything like that. So it can be moved around however you would like it moved around. So, break. Okay, so we are going to take a break now.
It's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Perfecto. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about something called Topic Pulse. And what Topic Pulse does is it allows radio stations to have their own source for information, so they can help gather stories that would be of interest to their listeners. It's show prep, but it's show prep with artificial intelligence. So you're trying to figure out exactly what people would be listening to. I have this on a PowerPoint Fury, but I don't see it showing up here. Okay, all right. So what we do, it was one thing when there was just Facebook. Maybe your morning show could look at Facebook quickly and see what was going on when it first started out. But now there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's everything else. So there's no way that anyone could look through all of that and actually be up to date and keep having interesting content. So that's what Topic Pulse does. We look through hundreds of thousands of pieces of information every single second, trying to give people and radio stations something that's very up to date. Radio will keep its place in our society if we're giving people local content and content that's up to date and on the edge of just when it's breaking. If we're talking about things that have been out in social media for 4 or 5 hours, people aren't going to tune into the radio. Why would they? So this is a good way for us to get ahead of the game. So what we do is, with our different stations, we talk to them about, well, who is your target audience and what types of things do they want? Are they interested in entertainment news? Are they interested in specific types of news that are related to the local community? And then we give them something called idea starters, which is just ways for them to engage their audience. So some of these you want to have different insights that you can talk about on a show. So, for example, and it isn't just always breaking news. So here we see something about some wildfires, and that was important. And it will tell you that it's actually growing on social media. So it says this is growing the fastest on social media with 18 to 34-year-olds. But now here's something that you wouldn't see on normal media. A blind cat and his new friend. There's always some cat story. And guess what? People love cat stories. Yeah, I mean, you could just publish nothing but cat stories. So it isn't always the fastest breaking news. It may be just a human interest story or something kind of quirky. Now, to tell you how powerful this can be, several months ago, there was a case in the U.S. that actually just exploded on social media. And the station behind it will tell you it was because of Topic Pulse. One of our clients out in LA started noticing that this story was not trending yet on social media. It was just below trending. So it was just starting to have some sort of movement. And oddly enough, when I tell you the story, it'll really be strange. It was getting noticed by men 18 to 34 years old. It was a story about Melania Trump wearing a coat that said, "I don't care, do you?" when she was visiting a refugee camp. They posted it and it took off like crazy. So did it take off because of that station in LA? Yeah, because if they post it, all of a sudden then every other outlet starts to post it. But they didn't pick it up when it was trending. They picked it up before it was trending. So now every person that listens to that station knows that, wow, if I want to get the absolute latest stuff that's going on, and was it news? I don't know. It was of interest to people. So that immediately took off. That's a really good example. They weren't talking about that at 5 p.m. after it had already happened. They were talking about it before anyone else was. And this is the power that Topic Pulse can give you. So you can also see things that are happening, whether they're trending This is trending with women 18 to 34 in Los Angeles. You see that at the top of the screen. And idea starters. So these are some idea starters for a CHR station. This is something about Bruno Mars. So, and it tells you just a bunch of little snippets about Bruno Mars. So, or whoever it is that you want to talk about. So it always makes your talent seem like they must be the most well-informed people in the universe because they seem to know everything. It also can get them to say, well, what's happening now? So this is what changes are taking place in voting, whether it's something with news, and what's going on with different politicians. But this is also, it doesn't have to be breaking news stories. Uh-oh. Busted for moving around. We have a small technical problem because I can't seem to wear a microphone. Okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's good. Thank you. I'll try to stop playing with it. Okay. And here you see on these stories, so this is what I was talking about. This is about to go viral. And that's what those guys out in LA saw. Something that may be breaking news, or here's something else, it's getting low news coverage, but it's actually an interesting story. There was an explosion at the Port Authority. So maybe others aren't noticing it, but it may be something that's of interest to your audience. One of the biggest challenges for radio is how do we, especially with all the content that's out there, how do we sound relevant and how do we keep coming up with new ideas? So this is how you keep coming up with new ideas that you can then post to your social media sites. So remember what we were talking about earlier, that we want to make sure we're posting content that's of interest, that'll pull people in. There's a station in Maine that they always post interesting news stories. The station is in the middle of nowhere, but they've managed to get a Facebook following because they're pulling people in for different ways, and then they're advertising to them. But yet I see other stations that all they'll do is maybe post something from the morning show, and that's it. So why not pull people in with different sorts of information and different stories? So we like to say you are the art and we're the science. So behind the scenes, as you've got your morning talent or your afternoon talent on air, we're scouring every single social media and every news site out there to see what's going on and what may be of interest. And it's very filtered to any of our clients. But what's nice about it is then not only do you get to talk about it on air, but you then can reuse the content. And we are adding video to this. So by adding video to it, a Facebook post with video gets viewed 388% more than a Facebook post without video. So how do we as radio people make sure we get into that space? And this is one of the ways you can do it. You can also have little customized access, customized shortcuts to things that you want. So maybe for part of your show, you just want broadcast news. And then for part of it, you may want something that's just silly news content. And it will also give you a lot of insights. So you can see not only, okay, this is an interesting story, but this is who it's appealing to. It's appealing to women 18 to 35. So if that's your audience, you know to talk about that. And that was something we really didn't have before. Many years ago, I was a radio newscaster, and I just read a story because I thought it was interesting. And I was making all the decisions about whether I thought our audience would like that or not. By having this, I would have been able to target things a lot more. And you can also make sure, the other thing too is you can always make sure that all the images you're posting for your social media are copyrighted images because you're getting them from us. The other thing you can do is we give stations idea starters. So, and we actually can write this for you. So this is a goofy one, like who would Kim Kardashian rather be stuck in an elevator with? I mean, there's only so many ideas that you can come up with at a station. So this is like having a team behind you that decides, okay, well, this could be of interest to your listeners. It's also how to get people talking. Whether they're just evergreen topics or it's something that's very important that day. So, we do all these quirky topics like how old would you be if you had to make up your age? So, and get things where then you could have people using the mobile app and calling in with it and giving them information. So it's different ways. We've got to think of different ways to get our listeners engaged with us. And these are ways that you can make sure all your talent is actually doing that. And one of the biggest things you're doing, not only are you growing your on-air audience, but you're growing your social media audience. So you may have people that are following your station and listening to you that don't even live in the area. Now, do you think, well, why do I care about that? Because you can always advertise to them on your mobile app or on your social media pages. And you want something that's shareable, because now you're not only getting people to listen to you and view your things on social media, but you're also having them help grow your audience for you. And video users, are 60% more engaged than any other type of post. And there's no reason, the lines between video and audio are so blurred now. And one of the things when I first started with Futuri, I have to tell you, is I showed everybody the videos that I actually logged on to one of the sites here that Futuri had done, that they built the studio. And I said, no, this is what visual radio looks like. And they said, oh, wow, okay. So you guys have already figured out here, you're so much further ahead, I think, than any other place I've ever seen with using visual radio and how powerful it is. And when I was talking to someone earlier today, they said, that is the future. So this is a way to even extend that more, because now you're using video on your Facebook pages too and all your social media. And it makes it easy. The last thing you want to do, especially as of this week, is share any video that is not copyrighted. That will be a real problem in the future. And this allows you to have all the video that you need for different stories that's always copyrighted. And we can even brand things for the individual stations. It's also, just from a practical point of view, we actually do the video production for every social platform. And in every place. We have people using this from the smallest cities to very large cities all over the world. And here you see just some of the different things that you could post. Even though they may be stories that other outlets post, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be posting it as well and branding it. As long as you don't start saying you shot the video. And just quirky news like what's going on with different award ceremonies and things like that. So with all of our programs, and one very unique thing about Futuri is we have a 24/7 support department. That's not unique, but we also have a 24/7 monitoring, which means for things like streaming, we're always checking to see that your stream is up. For things like Topic Pulse, we're always making sure that people are actually using our Topic Pulse. And we have a whole department that's called Partner Success. And what Partner Success does, so when you work with us, you have someone you work with all the time who really not only coaches the station in how to use things, but works with them to try to figure out how to get the most use out of it and how to grow their audience in different ways. That's what we consider it part of a team. So we constantly monitor to make sure people are using it. If someone leaves and somebody else shows up at the station, then we go through training to make sure that they're on board with it and they understand. So that's because we feel very deeply that, look, if you've gotten a service from us, we want to make sure that from day one to whenever, that you absolutely love what you're doing with us. So, and Daniel was right. Please come to see us in Cleveland, Ohio. It's a beautiful town, especially in the summer when it's not too cold. And hopefully we will eventually convince him to come over here and visit Italy as well. And Sophie, too, who speaks Italian and is from Italy. So, do you have any questions?
Okay, yeah. I have a question from YouTube. There is a PM, Francesco Bonalume. Mm-hmm. It is possible to set a geolocation to see what is more shared on social media in that region?
Yes, that's a very good question. Yes, so it's always, we use geo-targeting to see whatever is in a specific region, because something that may be interesting in Dublin may not be interesting in Milan. Yeah, so, I mean, we do, that's why we have clients we actually have a client very close, near to us here in Milan. And we have clients in Brunei, so we have clients all over the world. Okay, I must have answered everything. I don't believe you. Thank you very, very much, and thank you for attending our seminar.
And thank you, Mary, and thank you to you to show us all
grazie.
Mille grazie. This kind of information about Futuri Media and this new technology. I hope to enjoy the people can help to radio station to improve their business and their audience.
Yeah, it's radio station for the 21st century.
We are here to help us there. Grazie per aver partecipato, grazie a chi ci ha seguito online e al prossimo workshop. Grazie.